Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you've clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you also have this problem, and I just want to be that person to just not be embarrassed about it and just talk about it normally, because I feel like so many people don't want to go to their doctor over this issue, and it just causes a lot of embarrassment. And at the end of the day, guys, we've all got to go to poo. It is what it is. So yeah, anyways, as the title suggests, I'm going to talk about rectal bleeding, because it's something that a lot of us with anxiety get at some point. And, you know, a lot of us end up thinking that we've got full-blown bowel cancer, and it causes a lot of worry. So I had this problem for about 10 years. To me, it just became completely normal to see blood on the tissue or on my stool after going to the toilet. It just got to the point where it was like, I would be shocked if it wasn't there, you know. And I also had years of I would have like a couple of weeks of being like constipated, where I'd go like once a week and it would be really uncomfortable. And then all of a sudden I'd have like a couple of weeks of just like looser stools that just like, this is like pretty gross, but like just like an unpleasant like chemical sulfur smell, which was just anxiety, like, you know. And my stomach is always affected whenever I get anxious. That's something that I've learned over the years. So I ended up going to the doctor eventually, because, I was like, what if it's bowel cancer? And I went to go and see him, and he checked, which was awkward, but it's like with health anxiety. I was like, yeah, just do what you got to do. I just want to know. And he basically said, you've got hemorrhoids. One of them was like internal, that I didn't even know that I had. Like they would bleed a lot, and like I would Google stuff about them, and it would say like, oh, they should clear up within like 3 weeks. And that used to freak me out then, because they never cleared up within 3 weeks. And I was like, what if it's something worse? Although the doctor did actually calm me down, and to be honest, like normally doctors don't calm me down, but the one doctor that I saw explained it very well. And he said that they only really worry if the stool is black, or if it's dark red blood, because that would suggest that the blood is old, which would mean that it's coming from further up in the colon. Whereas bright red fresh blood, which is what I was getting, is obviously, it's just blood, like, so it will be from the outside of your bum, or just inside, and that's what I was getting. I was also getting, again, gross, sorry, but I was also getting like mucus as well, like quite a lot of mucus, and again, kind of researched into that, and anxiety can cause that. A crappy diet that lacks in fiber can cause that. And so I just feel like I had this like bowel issue for like years and years, and it was just like almost like it was normal to me. Even to the point where after I had my son, obviously, where I like pushed in labor, my one hemorrhoid got really bad. And I remember when my son was like a month old, this is only like 6 months ago, and I gushed blood, like literally into the toilet, and it was like really scary, because that's never happened before. But yeah, I got to the point where I was like, this is not normal. I started to like research into it, and I realized that, I was just chronically dehydrated. My diet was like really lacking in fiber, and that's kind of when I got on the journey of like the anti-inflammatory diet and all the stuff I'm doing now. And now I can tell you that for 5 months, I have not seen one speck of blood when I've gone to the toilet, and that has not happened to me in 10 years. So I have cracked it. I know what to do now. But I understand how worrying it is. And it's some people don't want to go to their doctor about rectal bleed, and they feel too embarrassed, and then they stay at home, they get more anxious, and then their bowels get worse. Like, we know now that, like, anxiety affects the gut, and the gut affects anxiety. If you've got poor gut health, it's going to affect your mind. If your mind is bad, it's going to affect your gut health. So the two need to be in harmony, and that's usually the problem with people with bowel issues, is that there's something that's not quite right there. And it can be sometimes a bit of a long process to tackle. It might be changing your diet, it might be stress management, there's a couple of different things, but it's definitely something that I feel that can be resolved. But yeah, it can be really worrying when you go to the toilet and you see loads of blood. It's not nice. It's scary. I've been there, and so many people that I've spoken to have like been convinced they've had bowel cancer. you know, because they're seeing this blood all the time. But honestly, I think like the first thing to do is like go to your doctor. And if you're brave enough and you don't feel too embarrassed and you've got a doctor you can trust, just have him, you know, let him have a look. There could be a hemorrhoid or like a fissure there that's causing the bleeding. And there's some creams that you can get as well that can like help like shrink the pile. And sometimes like they can even like, I don't know what they do. I'm sure they like strangle them or like they do something to actually get rid of them if they're like especially bothersome. And I was at a point where I was like, am I gonna have to like go to the doctor and have like some procedure done? But like I said, I changed my diet and then started drinking way more water, because I think that was another issue. I was just so dehydrated that you know, my stools were dry and it was like aggravating the hemorrhoids, and it was just like a bit of a vicious circle. So I think it's worth seeing your doctor. And I know it's embarrassing, or even if you know, even if you don't want to go to the doctor, sometimes like I've got a mirror and I've had a look down there and I've seen it for myself. I've got two. I've got like one on the outside and one on the inside. So that could just put your mind at ease, where you see it and you're like, oh yes, that's where the blood's coming from, rather than thinking that, you know, you've got bowel cancer or whatever. But yeah, I think as well, like where Chadwick, the celebrity, the actor who has recently died, you know, pretty young, of bowel cancer, it's caused quite a bit of anxiety for people as well at the moment. A lot of people, you know, have like messaged me and they've said like, you know, well, I'm worried because I've got this bleeding, or I'm worried because like my bowel habits have changed, like I've got diarrhea one week and then, you know, but I think it's important to remember that like I said, anxiety and the digestive system, like, you know, it's, if one is out of whack, the other one's out of whack. So if you're anxious and your bowels are dodgy, I'm not surprised, really not surprised. Whenever I get nervous or anxious or whatever, I've got to run to the toilet. It literally affects me like straight away. When I'm anxious, my bowel movements are looser. Like I said, they have that chemical smell. So yeah, I completely get it, but I also understand the worry. It's not nice. It's and it makes you then nervous to go to the toilets, and then people end up like more constipated, and it's just a bloody excuse the pun. It's a vicious circle. It really is a vicious circle. So I totally sympathize with you. It's not nice, but you honestly, you'd be surprised. It's like very, very common. Like I've spoken to a lot of people that have this issue. But just try and play with your diet. Just tell yourself, I'm going to give myself 7 days. I'm going to eat way more like fruit and veg. I'm going to drink a lot more water. I'm going to try and like, you know, have like some whole grains, some foods with fiber in, and you never know, like okay, maybe not a week, maybe do it for a month. I'm being optimistic here. Maybe do it for a month, and I am almost certain that you will, you know, I'm not saying like that the bleeding will completely stop and that everything will completely go back to normal, but I reckon you'll definitely see changes. So do it and let me know below what you're currently dealing with, if it's something that you worry about, like if you've resolved it. Like I'd love to hear your journey with this, because it's something that people don't want to speak about, and I think getting it out in the open can be super helpful. So I hope this video was somewhat useful to you, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.